And I heard about stories about families that their boy died in the West Bank because they didn't have the money to get from the checkpoint to the hospital.
So when you think of the donation, when you think of supporting, when you think of helping a life, the collective efforts of what we do raises the total amount we're looking for. But the individual efforts should not seem little. Nobody should seem like I can only give $5 or $20 and it doesn't really mean anything in this bigger scope of things, because it's those small numbers and the way that you can feel that that $5 that you gave was what saved that little boy.
We cannot take patient anymore. There's no border between us and Gaza now.
What you're doing, the way you've reacted to it, the way you've opened your heart to it is really nothing less than something great from where I stand. Welcome to Compassiviste Dialogues. I'm your host, Ali Horiat. My goal in this program is to educate our audience about various global issues and how we can help. Today, we speak with a different kind of activist, one who puts life at risk every day in compassion and altruism. We have Yael Noy and Yuval Roth from Road to Recovery, who are here today to talk about the desperate need of the hour, which is helping each other over in the conflict in Israel. So I want to start with the backstory of this organization. This didn't start as many nonprofits do, and the backstory to how this happened is a testament to life, the fragility of life, and the legacies we leave behind. Yuval, let's start with your brother, Udi.
My brother, Udi, went for a reserve service. It was at October 93, right a month after Oslo agreement, when we saw that the peace is here, the peace is touchable, the peace around the corner. On his way home for vacation, he did this the reserve service at Gaza Strip, and on his way home for vacation, he was hitchhiked, and the car with 3 Hamas people that they were looking like a Jewish Orthodox stopped to him, and he was kidnapped and murdered by them. This kind of disaster, it's hard to describe what happened to family after this kind, because my mother, she lost her brother at 48 war, and her cousin. My father died a few years before this disaster, and now she lost her son, so the situation was really tough. I am the oldest. I have another brother, and our mission was to keep our mother alive. Unfortunately, she died after a few years. Udi left a 4 years kid when it happened, and a widow, Merav, and shocked kibbutz. I was born in kibbutz, and Udi was still in the kibbutz Hatzerim, next to Beersheba. And Udi was very active and very beloved in the kibbutz. So it was really a big tragedy. And more or less a year after, I held an interview in the Israeli radio with Tzak Frankenthal, which his son Arik was killed in the same way like my brother. We are talking about 94, another tough year around, a lot of violence and blood. And all of a sudden I heard a different music out of the radio. I heard somebody that talk about reconciliation and that we must cut the blood circle. So at the end of the interview, I called Yitzhak. I told him that I just wanting to know that he talk behalf of my name. And then he told me about his future plans to establish organizations which deal with bereaved families from both sides, that will come out with a very sharp and very clear message that say that if we, from both sides, that we lost our beloved, if we can recognize the pain of each other, if we can sit and talk together. So we invite everybody to do it. And of course, we call the leaders to do it. And a few years after, he established what we call today the Parent Circle, and I joined the organization. And I participate in what I consider like the most significant thing that I can do in this chaotic area. We are doing a lot of dialogue meetings in Israeli high schools. Every year we used to make hundreds of dialogue meetings. And it was the first time that the Israeli student meet the bereaved Palestinian, and what they know about the Palestinians just out of the media, and all of a sudden you sit in front of somebody that lost from the first degree, like son or brother or parents and so on. And for sure it cracks the fixed mind that they know about them and cause them to think and to talk about it, to explore about it. This is the target of the dialogue meetings. And it was 2006 when I got a phone call from one of the Palestinian members of the Parent Circle. His name is Muhammad Kaba from Yabed, a village next to Jenin. And he asked me if I can help him to get his brother to Rambam Hospital in Haifa. I said, yes, of course. For me, it was exactly like my neighbor here in Palestine. Today I'm living in Palestine. Asked me a favor, and this neighbor is behind the fence, but it's the same for me. And since then, it was kind of snowball that I got more and more requests to help the Palestinian patient. I found myself with a lot of requests that I cannot did it by myself. So at the beginning, I asked for help for the close circles, like family and friends and so on, and then through the media. And that's how we become a group of volunteers. That was what we are doing every day. We transport the sick Palestinians from the Israeli checkpoints to Israeli hospitals, back and forth. Okay, I think that I stop now.
Through what you were talking about, your personal experience and the tragedies that you've seen in your family alone, a lot of it becomes a humbling experience, because many people like myself, we try to help, we try to be involved, but I don't know how much love and compassion we will have in our hearts, when we go through so much tragedy of a brother killed, family members killed in this way, in this non-understanding way. So what you're doing, the way you've reacted to it, the way you've opened your heart to it is really nothing less than something great from where I stand.
I found it as an opportunity for us, the Israeli, to show the Palestinian another face rather than they know, because a lot of times after I heard from the Palestinian patients, that the first time that they came to our car, they were afraid. And I asked them, why should afraid? We are coming with good intentions. And then they said, our reality is just settlers, soldiers, check out and so on. Why should the Jewish will come to help us? It's probably a catch. Maybe you from the Shabbat, from the securities. And they say while that they came to our car, all these thoughts disappear because a human being meet human being. And for me, Roth recovery again it's not just the humanitarian act to bring somebody from A to B. It's what happened during the trip. Huh. Yeah, and it's really opportunity, and I saw that it was to an effort to do it more and more. More and more, like I called it to make a little hour of peace each trip, and every day we are doing a lot of little hours of peace.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, there is the immediate response, aspect of it, where you are serving, in a sense, to the need of the hospitals and the sick and all of that. But on the other side of it, I think every patient that you're transporting, along with the physical needs of that patient, you're also feeding the mental needs of that patient, the compassionate needs of that patient. So I think through what you're offering, whether you know this or not, I really believe through what you're offering that you're offering a double service. You're offering the service of getting them to a doctor to fix a broken leg, for example. You're also offering the service to fix a broken heart that may be resting there as well. Mm-hmm. Now, this has been ongoing for 3 decades, give or take. And, from your story of your brother and the conflicts that you have felt yourself in that period. From that time, is about a decade of you trying to find peace and trying to be involved in the organization, and until somebody reached out to you and said, hey, we need help. And Road to Recovery started there, so to speak. But it was, like you said, your own operation, your own friends and family operation. And then it became bigger. More people learned about it. And I heard that the famous Leonard Cohen was the reason why Road to Recovery really, that his involvement became the catalyst for the establishment of the nonprofit, and really for you to understand, hey, this is a lot bigger now than me and my cousins and friends helping people. This is an actual organizational need. And tell me a little bit about how that involvement triggered you to understand the capacity of the work you were doing.
As you said, definitely when Leonard Cohen suggests to help me to raise a donation, I realized that it's an opportunity to establish a legal NGO in Israel that's called Roth to Recovery. And it shows me that we can expand dramatically the activity, because all of the volunteers use their private cars. We are doing a lot of kilometers every year. It's more than 1.5 million kilometers altogether. So a lot of the volunteers cannot afford the gas expenses, and our main budget is for reimburse for the gas for the volunteers who ask for it. And it's allow us to say for 100% of the request to say that we can do it, at least on the way in the morning from the checkpoint to the hospital. 100%. Maybe Yael can tell about it. Uh-huh. To find the volunteer for the way back, it's a little bit harder because it's unknown. It's all the time must a lot of kind of like a ping pong work,
right? The strategic organizational issue, essentially.
It's a lot more easier to find a volunteer for the morning because it's a fixed time. We know that, for example, tomorrow at 6:00 he will take from a certain checkpoint, and on the way back it's more unknown.
Yeah, I understand that. Now, Yael, speaking of this, let's start at the beginning, at the start of the operation, when it was a few people gathering to help. What were the essential challenges that you faced? And 2 decades later now, of operating in this manner, since not much has changed in your operation strategy. I mean, you're still using volunteers to help people get to and from the hospitals. How did you overcome these challenges, and how did you find ways to survive for all this time?
I was not there when it was a small. I'm in the organization since 2016. So when I think the challenge was to get more and more volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers because our volunteers, most of them are people that are after the working, they're, how you say it in English, pensionering, oldest people that retired.
Pensioners.
Yeah, pensioners, yeah.
That's the word you were looking for. Okay.
Yeah. So we need a lot. I think one of the most big challenges that people in Israel will know about us, and to bring more and more volunteers so we can say yes for all the requests and to hold it.
And how did you join?
I saw an interview in the TV one night about this organization, and it called me. I knew I need to go, so I started volunteering. I live in the far north. So I was volunteering every Sunday. I took from Jenin to Haifa. I think after 1 month or 2 months, Yuval called me and said he needed a coordinator for the Gaza Strip. And I said, yes, I didn't know what it means.
Far.
Okay. Yeah, that's far. But no one in Israel can get into Gaza. So you do it by phone. So it doesn't matter where you are. And then I was like, I think 3 or 3.5 years, the coordinator of Gaza. I just was taking care about all the patients from Gaza and all the volunteers that drive from Gaza.
How do you manage that, being that you can't go into the space? How do you find people in there?
I work with a colleague in Gaza. There was an organization in Gaza named Basmat al-Amal, Smile of Hope in English. Yes. And I work with Muhammad. He was the coordinator in Gaza, and I was daily with him by phone. He sent me every night the list for tomorrow, and when the patient finished in hospital, he called me, and I worked really with him.
So this was essentially an Uber-like strategy without the technology, with just using basic phones, trying to coordinate people together and getting people back and forth in a large number, and doing that. And I was speaking with someone about your organization, and we really came to the conclusion that you were essentially doing the Uber method for compassion versus for, the organization and the profit, which was really where, the heart kind of comes in and speaks to using technology, using our ability, using whatever we have, cars, volunteers, people, going on the radio, using the internet, any mechanism we have to get to some kind of hopeful solution to help people on all sides. Now, the cyclical tragedy and the cyclical trajectory of the trauma that's involved is a continuous instigator to activation. This tragedy of October 7 affects you personally, organizationally, nationwide, and it has affected people internationally. I have friends of mine on all Israeli friends, Jewish friends, Arab friends who have been affected by this on an international scale. How do you see this affecting Road to Recovery from an organizational perspective? I mean, has the October 7 events and the following 6 months now really hampered your ability to communicate, to help, to get in and out of Gaza, because it's become impossible to even get food in there. So what are you doing right now?
From Gaza, we cannot take patient anymore. There's no border between us and Gaza now. So that's, and immediately at 7th of October and 9 o'clock in the morning, I understand that I won't see my friends in Gaza for a long, long time, and for all our patients. So it stopped immediately. But since the 8th of October, we didn't stop for even one day to take the patient from the West Bank. So that's what we're doing daily. The Gaza patient, we are still in touch with them, with a lot of the family and with our coordinator. We can be a witness for what they're suffering now, and to hear them and to talk to them and to just tell them well with them. And we tried in the first month of the war to send medicine through Europe, but it got into Gaza, but it didn't get to them. Not to them and not to the hostages. It was a big amount of medicine, but it's stuck somewhere. And some of the patients that we knew, and they are going out from Gaza now to get treatment in Turkey, in Europe, in the Emirates. But we cannot do a lot now to help them.
How do you see this opening? I mean, you want to help. You're there to help. You have the contacts to help. Just like you, other organizations in the same position are there to be able to do this. Do you see a way of a future in this situation? Because I also believe this isn't going away in the next 1 or 2 months. I don't think everything's going to be peace and okay and everything's fine in the next 90 days. So this being the case, how are you trying to coordinate anything?
With Gaza, it's a problem, and also I don't think I can talk about it here. No, we're doing something quiet. What we're doing, not published. I think the more quiet we're doing it, the more helpful it will be.
So the more covert the operations are, the more you're able to support people there. Just like the medicine trip that you did, it was a big amount of medicine. It was very silent. You didn't go on BBC News and tell them this is what we're doing. You tried to do it as silently as possible. Even then, it was a problematic situation.
And after 4 or 5 months, our soldier get into Nasser hospital, and then they found it, and no one know how that it get in, and they start asking how it is there. And I knew, but we never.
And that becomes a problem of its own. Now, Yuval, I want to ask you about your personal relationships, and taking you as an example of an Israeli. How has the experience of Road to Recovery on a daily basis and your interactions with Palestinians and your friendships with them changed your perspective as well? Because I'll tell you from myself, I grew up partly in Dubai for a while, and this was in the early 80s. At that time, we had never seen a Jewish person or an Israeli person, because there wasn't the scenario to see that. And it was a small developing country. We're talking, Dubai had less than, 400,000 people at the time. So slowly, as I grew up, there was obviously a lot of the rhetoric of the anti-Israeli rhetoric that came through a lot of the migrants, the Lebanese or the Palestinians who moved to Dubai and brought that rhetoric with them, because people in Dubai didn't even know Israel to know anything other than the religious kind of connotations of what was going on. So obviously there was this appeal of, what is Judaism, what is Israel? And there was also this pre-fed notion of, I don't like Israelis, I don't like Jewish people, because it's just, that's how you're born. That's how you learn. I moved to Toronto, Canada. And before that, I went to Switzerland and other places as well, growing up in my education. And I started seeing Jewish people, and I started seeing Israeli people. And I went to a university that had a big amount of Jewish and Israeli people in there. And I had very good friends who were Jewish, and I started learning traditions. I learned about the holidays, the ceremonies, Shabbat, so many things I learned, the travels back to Israel and all those things. And I was part of the ceremonies. Now I'm well-versed. I don't see the difference in people. I just see people. But it took a while for me to learn these differences and to start opening up and being open to these differences, because until the first couple of years of university and me integrating into a situation like that, and like you said, I went to university first time in Canada in 1993. And 93 and 94 were very volatile years because of the Oslo thing, and then after that, the violence that happened. And I remember in school in 94, there was a lot of, Israel-Palestine fights even that were happening in school. So I was still at that point a little conflicted, but slowly I realized, hey, we're all people, we're all having fun, we're all friends. I go to my friends' homes. I learned so much about the religion. I realized how close it is to how I was raised. It's not that much different, For example, Zoroastrianism or Hinduism has more differences in its religion and its lifestyle than Judaism and Islam. So I start seeing things from different perspectives. But you have this specific space where you are interacting with the people in a space of hate. I mean, there's so much hate development and hate teaching in this region on both sides. How were you able to build love and build friendship through Road to Recovery, aside from driving people around?
So first of all, I think we have what we call in Hebrew, Yitron Yachasi. It's a relatively advantage to spread the word, because while I take little Muhammad from Jenin, from Yabed, I know that all the village knows that it spread the word. So it's kind of, again, relatively advantage. And I can read a message that I got from one of the patients that I personally took him a lot of times, and a lot of other volunteers took him. Mm-hmm. He was a cancer ill, and he recovered. And he sent me by WhatsApp a message. Mm-hmm. I'll read it. I think this piece explains. He wrote, "Hey Yuval, I have never had a good chance to talk to you openly. I think you're doing the most amazing thing ever in regards of the conflict in this area. Personally speaking, you, all your friends, and all the beautiful people in Rambam Hospital saved my life twice. First, from cancer. The second time is from being close-minded fanatic. Like all Palestinians, I think I was brainwashed to hate everyone, especially Jews. What you are doing is one of the reasons why I now hope for peace and do whatever I can do from my place as an English teacher to make more people hope and seek peace too. Thank you." So he's an English teacher, so his English is very good, and he can express it. But those kind of response, we I think every day we can hear that. Yesterday I took a patient, and I think at least 5 times he said, 200 times I can't say thank you, because again, it's not just the help that I give you. It's a lot more than that. Like what I talked at the beginning, the opportunity to meet and to know each other. Mm-hmm. This is the only way if we to come over the hateness, and just to know by meeting. So the parent circle is the dialogue meetings, and here it's the tool is the trip. So as much as we can, more and more Israeli meet Palestinians. This is the mission,
to share humanity. Now, when I first learned about your organization, I mean, speaking about it, I've heard about it before because it was in the news. But when you guys first reached out, it was through a mutual friend. And I spoke with Yuval. And when I left that conversation, I was a little bit in shock because I thought to myself, here's an organization that is literally saving lives. It's not an organization, because we're working with organizations in Israel right now who are looking to create programs that you're talking about so people can meet, so people can share, safe places that people can come together. And some of your friends are in those programs that we're working with. But you're directly working in the need of the moment right now, helping people stay alive so that there is conversation tomorrow, because if there's no people, there's no conversation. So this is a more immediate mission, so to speak. And when we got off the call, I thought to myself, how is Road to Recovery needing money? Because I would assume that it would be so easy to get funded for such an important and immediate mission. But then I realized there's a lot of politics involved, and there's a lot of brainwashing involved, because now also a lot of Israelis, I've seen this myself in our own fundraising, they're not giving to certain programs anymore because there's so much pain from October 7 that they are completely shifted. Even when you show them that, look, this works, this is loving, this is helpful, no, I don't want to be a part of it. I only want to be involved in this, the Netanyahu way, because that is working. That is the way to go. And it's destroying any possibility. And I think it plays right into the hands of the problem, right? It's feeding the problem. So, Yuval, you were not there on that call, but Yael was actually talking about this the last time. And I want you to come back to this. What ways are you finding it more challenging now to get funded, and more challenging now to have people even volunteer, because it's become dangerous in a way to be involved? So tell me a little about this, because I think people need to hear about the struggle, the real struggle of the moment, coming from the mental space and not the physical danger.
No, I think that Yael will answer, because she knows from the first hand, like she's in contact with the volunteers. As I know, some volunteers, kind of at least a few, 50 volunteers, stop to do it for the reasons that you mentioned. They think that right now we have to deal with our pain and our victims and our Israeli citizens, and not to pay attention to. So I just can, a lot of my friends that I saw that think kind of like me, I just was shocked to hear them talking about to destroy Gaza, to kill everybody. Really shocked me. And I'm still in dialogue with them, and I think that the right now the blood and the pain cannot show them another option, just to take care about our citizens. And I look at that from the beginning, like when I joined the parent circle, not that just Israel or Palestinian. I think we are all one unit, and if in one unit you don't take care about something, so it will hurt you, or it will kind of boomerang to you. So it's kind of holistic approach that says that we have to take care to everybody.
Yeah, if only everybody thought that way. And Yael, tell me about how this has affected Road to Recovery, because like you said, 50 people all of a sudden are against you because you're doing the wrong thing. You should be helping Israelis. How dare you help Palestinians? And the problem, how is this escalating?
It's true, but I want to mention that also we have like 45 new volunteers that step in after the 7th of October, because There are now Israelis that feel that this is the time to do it, especially now, because when they are looking for something to do, because when you do something, it's healing yourself. I think the road to recovery, we are recovering not just the Palestinian, we're also recovering ourselves, from the hateness, from the... So I think there are a group of Israelis that are looking now for something to do, and we have the opportunity to give them to to wake up in the morning and to do something to good and to heal themselves. So, and also we have, immediately when after the 7th of October, the first week, we understand that we are not going to do the fundraising that we wanted to do, because in Israel, it's not time to ask for help for the Palestinians. Yeah, because now it's like helping the enemy. This is the talk in Israel. So we start to try to do it outside of Israel, more in Europe and the US, and just, the word, we need the help of the word to help us to...
There are some Israeli supporters.
Yes, that's where I came in, essentially. But
also, one of our big founder was a kibbutz Be'eri, it's one of the kibbutzim that got the wounded very a lot. We have 3 volunteers that were murdered there in kibbutz Be'eri, and they support us. Now we need to support them,
No, but I think, Yael, it's not just the immediate that injured. I'm talking about a lot of the Israeli supporters for years that made the Roth made the...
They give us an amount of money every month. Now
they stop it. They say now it's not the time to help the Palestinians. My kibbutz, I'm coming from kibbutz Hatzerim. Kibbutz Hatzerim is a very rich kibbutz, and for the last 15 years they helped us a lot, and now they stop it. They said, right now, we don't give you one shekel. We'll see later, but right now, we won't give you, we won't support you.
I know. And, in outside of Israel, I can tell you, in some parts of the world, people are becoming very segregated. So they're asking, what are you raising money for? Is it for the Palestinians? Is it for the people in Gaza going through all that they're going through? People are, just throwing the word, it's genocide there, and we have to help them, and all those things. So when you approach that, they're helping. But then I go to people and I say, because this isn't the first program I'm dealing with, I go to people and I say, I'm helping an Israeli person help the people in Gaza. And they don't really understand that at the beginning, because they say, an Israeli to help how? And they're, at first, and I show them and they say, really? Israeli people are doing this? I said, yes. I said, you've never been there. I've been there. I've been there in more peaceful times. And they even, interact with each other. They eat at each other's restaurants. It's not what you think, inside the space. And they get shocked at first, but then they start seeing how much people are united against what they see in the media, against the Israeli soldier and then the child in Gaza, against all of those things. They start recognizing that there is peace, there is the opportunity in the people's hearts to come together. So I find I'm not able to fundraise from people I know in Israel, and the organizations I know in Israel, some of them are very wealthy. They can fund all of the programs, but I find I cannot even speak with them right now because they are in such a place of pain that they're not willing to communicate. But from the outside, like Yael said, it's much easier to make people see that this is a hopeful space. This is a space that can heal, that can support, that can help in some way or the other. So it's become a lot more, a global appeal, essentially, as opposed to an internal appeal, because it's just the way that it is. People outside are not as hurt personally. I think people in Israel or people with relatives who were involved in the massacre and who were involved in everything that happened, or people who still, a few days ago, I was speaking to a friend of mine who was in Galilee area. And basically, when the Hezbollah bombed them with the rockets, it affects you personally. It affects the families you have in New York or Boston or anywhere else in the United States or anywhere in the world. So it's not easy for people to turn their back to that, to the pain that they're feeling and saying, yeah, we'll support, we don't care, everybody's a human. I understand that. But I think also we have to try, like Yael said, the whole world, because you don't know who is ready now to help for peace, to help cultivate the seeds of peace, because peace starts in war. It doesn't start before war. It doesn't start after war. It actually starts in the middle of war. And it makes the case for ending the war. Otherwise, if there's no thought of peace, why stop the war? You just continue until one is finished. But the reason there's peace is because people like you exist thinking of that in the middle of the crisis. Now, how do you think that people can come in and support you other than donations? There's really no other way of supporting you globally, because nobody can come down there and volunteer. The space of volunteer is restricted to your space. But I always ask this from people that we work with, because you never know. Other than funding, do you need any specific type of volunteering so the audience that's listening can say, I can do that? For example, you may say, we need a website, or we need to send some specific goods or something. Is there anything anybody can help with if they are unable to help with donations?
Maybe to spread it over, I think. Maybe just to talk about us and
share about Road to Recovery.
Share it. And I don't.
So you're fully so you're fully prepared to take everything on. All you need is a little bit of funding to be able to help as many people as you can, which is,
I don't know, right? Yuval, do you have an idea? I don't know.
I maybe, I don't know, for, like you said, to help with the website, or to help with, Yael knows better than me, they use, all the coordinators use a digital system that support their work. And
all the details of the volunteers are there, all the details of the patient are there, and we're working with a system like with our computer. There is a So
let me tell you this: for the technical stuff you were just talking about, the website, the technical coordination, I will tell you right now here, we will do that for you. From the technical arm of Compassiviste, I will get Phil, who's in charge of all our technical side, to get in touch with Yael and support whatever you guys need on that space from the technology bit. So that's not an issue, because we can do that. We do that anyways. We're a digital organization, so we have a strong arm in that way, and we'll be more than happy to help you do that. So that's not an issue. And the fact that you don't have anything else other than needing money to be able to support, the drives, the cost of everything because of inflation and everything that's going on, is actually a good thing. Don't think so hard that I have to think of something to say, because it's a good thing. It means you're organized. It means you're doing the work right. Everything is going well. All you need is funding to be able to continue your good work.
And I think we're very thin. We don't. I don't like to show that we have a lot of hotza'ot, how we say it. No, we're doing what we need to do.
Right.
We're not a lot of fans. We just want to drive. This is what we want to do. I don't want to do other things.
You're right. And you know what? One of the reasons I'm supporting you is that, because you could have came to us and said, Ali, we need to buy 25 little buses or cars so that we can drive people around. We need to pay drivers. And here's a budget of $2 million for our, you could do that. A lot of people do that. Believe me, we get asked to help every day. Every day somebody's asking us for help. And some of those we look at and we see, for example, there was one organization who came to me and there was thousands of dollars that I didn't understand. And I said, what's this? And they said, oh, that's the director's income, and that's the, the secretary's income, and that's the this and that. And there was, over, I kid you not, over $150,000 that was just money that didn't need to be there. So you kind of look at these people and you say, are you creating a business for yourself or are you helping? It's two different things. If you're creating a business, I will invest and I want a return on my investment because you are coming to me with a business. So don't come to me from this door. This door is for people who are doing good work. And one of the reasons why I immediately put your calls up on our page after the first conversation was because I looked at this. I said, these guys are asking for gas. That's all they're asking, guys. They called me. They said, can we have gas? They didn't even say anything else. Like, you cannot ask for less. So for me to say no is impossible. So that's why, we're involved. So we're going to ask the audience and everybody watching this or hearing this to share and to donate, obviously, and to share as much as possible, because sharing can support this and can help people right now in these tragic times and situations. Now, in such desperate times, as you're doing this honorable mission, the truth is we can ever only be successful in our missions if we bring it to an end, right? That is kind of the aim of especially charity. One of the problems I have with some of the really large organizations in the world, and some of whom we are challenging, essentially, is they think of their charity as a forever establishment. But I think a charity or help should be only enough to resolve the issue. So we don't want to create Road to Recovery, on a massive scale in Israel, so it continues forever, because that means there's conflict forever, right? That's not how it should be. We should come to a place where there is a state and everybody's treated equally, and the ambulance can go and pick somebody up equally and take them to
or they can go with their own cars. I would like them to go with their own cars, and there will no border, and they will drive like I drive to the hospital. This is our
right, and that's mission. The end of Road to Recovery. So the big.
We hope in 2 years. In 2 years, they won't need us anymore.
Right, and we can close Road to Recovery and celebrate closing it. Right, that is the idea. I want to be at the party with you, celebrating closing Road to Recovery, because we did what we did at the time. Not me, you guys did what you did at the time of need, but we were able successfully to finish that. What does that look like for you guys? What is that goal?
I think this is the most. Okay, talk.
No, I found that it's really neat when I just started, and I heard about stories about families that their boy died in the West Bank because they didn't have the money to get from the checkpoint to the hospital. Or I heard about the families that they sold their house in Hebron in order to pay for the. So it's a really need. So it's not just a life saving, and as you know, the PA, the Palestinian Authority, that they actually cover all the that they pay for the patient. I mean, they pay a very good money for the treatment. So when I just started, I asked for the PA from the Palestinian Authority if they can help me to pay for, as they say, sorry, we don't have money for that. We have money for to cover the treatment, and then I realized that again we have to do a lot of effort in order to do it, and I found that on the point that like I said before, that it's not just to help them to get, it's opportunity to
yes
to get it.
And everybody listening or watching, I want you to think of this for a moment. Like Yuval said, a young boy died because they didn't have the money to transport the boy from one place to another. And that transportation cost may have only been $10 or $20 equivalent. So when you think of the donation, when you think of supporting, when you think of helping a life, the collective efforts of what we do raises the total amount we're looking for. But the individual efforts should not seem little. Nobody should seem like I can only give $5 or $20 and it doesn't really mean anything in the bigger scope of things, because it's those small numbers and the way that you can feel that $5 that you gave was what saved that little boy. Your interaction, your connectivity with this program is what saved people. It doesn't matter the volume and the amounts. So that is really the most important part of hearing stuff from what I hear from what you're saying. Yael, do you have anything to add to how you see this coming to an end?
I just want to thank you all for your listening for us and to hear us in those terrible days. And I think we will not stop anyway. So if you will help us, it will be great. But we are doing it because also to save their lives and to save our lives. And
yes.
So this is it.
The help is bonus, and you shouldn't be thanking anybody. This is obligation. It's our duty as humans to be there in your time of need, their time of need, and everybody should come together to support and help. It shouldn't be an opportunity that we feel privileged by or we should be thanked for or anything like that. It is my duty as a human to be here and stand with you. So if I don't, I'm not human. So I don't believe in people thanking for those kind of things, because it's, like I said, we need to come back to a day where we understand our duties. And thank you very much, Yuval, Yael, for coming on and actually telling us about what you're doing and how you're helping and how we can be involved with helping to facilitate this for you. I encourage everyone tuned in to visit Road to Recovery's social media and website, which is here. You'll see it on the show. And subscribe to the podcast and share. Follow us on social media to engage with these programs that we can manifest a harmonious society. We're here to help change makers make that change together as a collective. I'm Ali Horiat. Thank you very much.